I stood on that salt-bleached porch, watching my own blood drive away like I was the stranger. My 8-year-old son's hand was ice-cold in mine, trembling because grown adults had just screamed that his father was a greedy thief. And in that moment, wind whipping the dune grass, waves crashing like accusations, I realized the house I'd bled for wasn't a home anymore. It was a weapon they'd turned on us. My name is Elias. 39. I fly regional jets out of Raleigh, red ice to Denver, dawn departures to Boston, the kind of schedules that leave your body clock permanently fractured. My wife, Sarah, teaches 2nd grade, we scrape by in a modest duplex an hour from the coast. Our boy, Theo, is quiet, watchful. He collects sea glass the color of forgotten promises and asks questions that cut too deep for his age. The beach house sits on a narrow spit in North Carolina, gray shingles, white trim peeling like old skin, a crooked staircase down to sand that burns your feet by noon. My grandfather hammered every nail, my grandmother planted the sea oats that still hold the dunes together. When she passed 4 winters ago, the wool was short and merciless, the house was mine. Alone. Her letter to me was one trembling sentence: you showed up when no one else would. Don't let them turn it into an obligation. They never forgave her for that. Or me for accepting it. Every spring the calls began. When are you opening the house? We're planning July 4th. The kids are so excited for their week. They arrived with coolers, loud music, wet towels slung over railings. I'd refinished myself. I paid the $29,800 property taxes. The $9,200 flood policy. The $4,100 special assessment after hurricane remnants tore the bulkhead. I paid alone, while they toasted family time on decks I stained at 2 a.m. between flights. Theo always got the fold-out couch. The one that smelled faintly of mildew and someone else's sunscreen. His Lego planes got swept into a drawer so the real kids could have the bedrooms. His name never appeared on the chalkboard family chart my sister Mara hung like a trophy. Last May, Theo found an old photo in the attic, me at 12, grinning beside grandmother on the dock, both of us holding fishing poles with no bait. He studied it a long time. "Why isn't anyone else in this picture with you?" he asked. I couldn't answer. Not truthfully. The tax bill arrived in April, another gut punch of numbers. I taped it to the fridge like evidence. Mara spotted it during their help weekend, meaning they drank rose while I pressure washed the siding. "Almost 30 grand, she laughed, sharp as broken shell. Pilot life must be nice." Theo froze mid-step, clutching his bucket of ghost crabs. "I pay it," I said. Quiet. "Every year." Alone. Dad snorted. "You make good money. Your sister's a single mom. Don't be petty over 1 week." Mara grinned at her kids. "Hear that? Uncle Elias thinks we should pay rent to visit Grandma's beach house." They howled like it was comedy. Theo shrank against my leg, ears burning crimson. I felt the shake start in my fingertips, the same tremor I get right before severe turbulence hits and I have to keep the nose steady anyway. I said nothing then. But that night, after Theo whispered, "Am I why they hate coming here?" I made the listing live. $875 a night. Oceanfront. No family discount. The first booking came in 4 hours. July 4th week. Almost $6,000. Enough to cover taxes and Theo's science camp. Enough to buy back one summer that belonged to us. The group chat exploded. "Mara, you're actually doing this?" "Mom, grandmother would be heartbroken." "Dad, ungrateful." "After everything." I typed once, "The house is mine. Book like everyone else or don't come." Mute. They showed up anyway. July 3rd. I pulled in with clean sheets and guest welcome baskets. Their cars blocked the drive like a barricade. Mara stood on the porch steps, arms crossed, sunglasses reflecting rage. "There are strangers inside our house," she hissed. "They booked it," I said. "They're staying." Dad stepped forward, face flushed. "Tell them it's a mistake. We're family." Theo whispered beside me, "I can sleep on the floor. They can have my spot." My heart cracked open. I stepped between Mara and the door. "Don't," I said. Voice low. Final. She shoved past anyway. I blocked her. Dad laughed, cold, empty. You're really turning us away. Theo's fingers dug into my palm. Hard enough to bruise. I looked down at him, eyes wide, trusting me to fix this impossible thing. And something inside me finally broke clean through. I've paid for every nail, every storm, every laugh you took here while I flew through thunderstorms so you could sip wine on my porch. I paid while you called me selfish. Greedy. While my son learned his own family thinks he's invisible. I turned to them, all of them. But the real secret. Grandmother didn't leave it to me because I was the richest. She left it because I was the only one who ever showed up when she was scared and alone. The rest of you. You only came when the weather was perfect and the beer was cold. Mara's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Dad's face collapsed, not anger. Something worse. Recognition. I looked straight at my son. I choose you, I told him. Loud enough for them all to hear. Always. Then I told them to leave. They drove off, doors slamming, tires spitting sand. The guests peeked out, awkward, apologetic. I waved them back inside. Told them to enjoy the sunset. Theo and I sat on the steps after. Waves hushed the silence between us. He leaned against my shoulder. Daddy. Yeah, bud. Will they ever come back? I breathed in salt and cedar. I don't know. But we're here. Just us. And that's enough. I still don't know if I did the right thing. Part of me waits for the guilt to hit harder. Part of me feels lighter than I have in years. If this was your family, if you'd carried the weight alone for so long, would you have finally drawn the line? Would you have chosen your child over the past? Tell me in the comments. Because sometimes the hardest family stories aren't the ones that end in forgiveness. They're the ones that end in truth.